Hello, my movie peeps. Thank you so much for clicking on episode of Side Flick. My name is Chris. We got so much movie news to discuss here today. Let's dive into it. Some of the things we're going to be talking about here is, for one, all the mess and chaos surrounding the DC studio. We have so many conflicting reports, James Gunn correcting people. It's kind of wild. We got a live-action God of War series with one detail that's making fans kind of sad, as well as if we're going to see John Krasinski in the Fantastic Four. That along with so much more. So many of you guys give me your opinions down below with everything we discuss here today. I am still in my Ghostface robe because I am so dang happy from that Scream 6 trailer. So excuse the costume here, but that's a good transition into our first thing we want to discuss here. Some good old trailer trash, because we got a couple of cool trailers that released today, and we're going to be marking them on whether they're trash or treasure, because as you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Talking a little bit here about the Scream 6 trailer. I already did an entire trailer breakdown. I'll link that down below if you want some more of my deeper thoughts on the trailer, as well as some cool Easter eggs hidden in here. But for me, this trailer was for sure a treasure. It's only a teaser, and it gave us exactly that. It teased a scenario with Ghostface in New York on Halloween Day, and how this movie's gonna take advantage of that. It looks creepy, it looks suspenseful. That is what I'm wanting from my Scream franchise. I've already been seeing so many naysayers from non-fans of the franchise, because it's kind of wild when you get to the 6th installment of a slasher movie, but I have really high hopes for this one, so definite treasure. Then another trailer that came out here that actually really piqued my interest is for an Adam Driver movie named 65. It looks to be a sci-fi adventure movie where Adam Driver is the captain of this cruise ship that crash lands on Earth, but not just any Earth, it's our prehistoric Earth with dinosaurs everywhere, leaving Adam Driver and this little girl to kind of fend for themselves in this world. A couple of thoughts. For one, count me there day one on this movie because I love the concept, I love the look of it. Another franchise finally tackling dinosaurs that isn't Jurassic Park? Give it to me. Everything about this just screams fun action adventure movie. The only drawback I had with this trailer is I felt they revealed a little too much. For like the first half of the trailer, you get the sense that this just could be an alien planet, that they landed somewhere where there's these alien-like creatures. But then the trailer spoils it for you and says, oh no, this is Earth. Our Earth actually, and it looks like he went back in time to prehistoric Earth. Then again, that's kind of a cliche thing that's been done already, either in Planet of the Apes and also in M. Night Shyamalan's movie with Will Smith and Jaden Smith. That also turned out to be our Earth. So maybe that's why they had to give that away in the trailer, but I would have rather have liked to find that information out in the actual movie. Think they're all in the future, then it's like, whoa, they accidentally time traveled to dinosaurs and they're fighting them now? Either way, gonna watch this one. Definite treasure. Just, Sony, stop spoiling your movies. Let me know what your guys' thoughts on the trailers that released today. Moving on from there, let's talk a little bit about Winnie the Pooh. Now, a lot of the talk of Winnie the Pooh on this channel has been the upcoming horror movie, Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, and most of you know that horror movie is possible because Winnie the Pooh is now in the public domain. Well, this is good news for my Winnie the Pooh fans that want to keep him as a childhood-friendly character, because it looks like we're getting a new reimagining for Winnie the Pooh thanks to him being in the public domain that'll explore his origin story. It was reported today that we would be getting a Winnie the Pooh prequel movie that'll be in the vein of Paddington and Peter Rabbit. From the details listed in here, it looks like it'll be a 3D animated movie, not live action. And while this could be very exciting, this is one of the cool things of public domain. So many people are going to be able to put their paws on a certain character and put their own spin on it. Now we're getting to the origin story of Pooh. Probably find out how he got his red shirt, how he ends up meeting Christopher Robin, all his other friends. I'm sure this will make the people who were upset about Blood and Honey a little bit more happier. How are you guys feeling about Winnie the Pooh getting a prequel movie, and would that be something you'd check out? Moving on from there, we continue to get small little updates with Marvel's Fantastic Four. All of us are still waiting for the day that they're going to announce the cast, and let me tell you, I cannot wait for that day. But until we get that official announcement, people still have the very high hopes that John Krasinski will turn out to be Reed Richards for the Fantastic Four movie, and now it just seems more and more likely the boy's not coming back. In a recent interview, he talked about his involvement in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and his future for the character, saying, "There aren't any discussions at all. The only discussion I had was actually in the second to last week of Jack Ryan. Kevin Feige called and said, 'Would you ever fly to LA and play in our sandbox for a day?' I was honored to do it. I flew right from Budapest when we were wrapped and went right to the Doctor Strange set. I'm a big fan of all those characters and that world, so to get to play in that sandbox for one day was a real thrill." That interaction and the way it played out, a day on set, a quick phone call, That doesn't sound like a long-term plan Kevin Feige had to bring this man in a Fantastic Four movie for the MCU. It's just something great that the good old Kevin Feige Hat Man did and gave us some fan service for the people that wanted to see him as Reed Richards. That's just gonna be so funny. One day I'm gonna sit down, watch Doctor Strange 2 with my kid and explain, oh, that guy who's Mr. Fantastic? On a thing called Twitter back in the day, people were fan casting him, so they put him in the movie.
Dad, shut up.
You're just like your mother. Sorry, I got lost in my imagination. So look, it does make me kind of sad, but we still got to see him be it for a little bit. I still think whoever they do cast as Reed Richards will play the part just as good, if not better. And if anything, I just want to see that casting already. But this is where I throw it off to you guys. You hear John Krasinski is looking not to play Reed Richards again in the MCU. Does that make you sad? Or does that not bother you? Something else that was announced here today that we had heard had been in the works for a little bit is this live-action God of War series coming to Amazon. Sony has been hard at work with turning some of their properties into live-action films or TV shows. We already know they have The Last of Us coming up, we have a Twisted Metal series with Anthony Mackie, and now they're putting all their money on this God of War series. The synopsis we have here for the series goes as, when his beloved wife dies, Kratos sets off on a dangerous journey with his estranged son, Atreus, to spread her ashes from the highest peak, his wife's final wish. Kratos soon realized the journey is an epic quest in disguise, one which will test the bounds between father and son and force Kratos to battle new gods and monsters for the fate of the world. A couple of things I have to mention off the bat. I've sadly never played a God of War game. I know, it's on my to-do list. It's something I actually really want to do because the things I've seen over the years of the game make me really excited to play it. It's just the intimidation of sitting down, having the time to play 4 to 5 games in a row and consume it. So don't hate on me, God of War fans. I'm actually interested in this and I want to play it someday. But the detail that hardcore God of War fans are upset about right now is that the show will essentially be starting off where the 2018 sequel started. This is where Kratos has his son, goes on an adventure and fights people, and kind of putting aside all the previous games and stories that came before it that a lot of people fell in love with. That is kind of interesting, but it also makes sense to me. Right now, the 2018 and 22 God of War game are one of the most popular. I also think this opens the door that if the TV series is successful, they could later go back and make prequel movies about those earlier video games that have some really big action sequences I don't know how you would do in a TV show. That's just my theory. There's no word on prequel movies. Still, I think this could be really good. It'll push me to finally play the game so I could be ready for the series. What do you God of War fans think of this live action show starting with the 2018 game? Alright, but from there, it's time to talk about the whole mess of the DC universe, because man, what is going on in that studio? So just to kind of wrap up some of the things we've been hearing with DC the past couple of days, it all started when we got a report saying that Wonder Woman 3 was essentially canceled. It came from one of the most reliable sources in the movie industry, The Hollywood Reporter, and it also gave us information about possible cancellations and reboots of other characters, including Black Adam sequel, a Man of Steel sequel, and it really was looking like maybe James Gunn and Peter Safran were going to reboot the entire DC universe. Well, then from that moment on, another article came out from a different, also highly respected source in journalism of Hollywood movie news, saying that, oh, Wonder Woman 3 didn't work because Patty Jenkins left the project since they didn't like her story. And it was just all this back and forth until finally Patty Jenkins last night released a statement of all the hoofla going on. It's a pretty long statement, so I'm not going to try and read the entire thing for you, but just to summarize it, there are some key things she reveals here. For one, for my Star Wars fans, she mentions that that movie is still in active development, she's still attached, and it looks like that could be her next project. So people who are looking forward to Rogue Squadron, that looks to still be a thing. But two, she was not fired or walked away from Wonder Woman 3. What really seems to be happening is just every future movie in the DC universe is currently frozen while James Gunn and Peter Safran figure out the future for that universe. So it had nothing to do with the story of Wonder Woman 3 or them rebooting the universe. It's just a matter of like, let's stop production on everything and let's figure out a timeline for a new DC universe. Then we had this other news that was kind of crazy where Dwayne Johnson was getting onto Twitter to tell the fans that Black Adam was profitable, that we made money, y'all, so that's why we're gonna get a sequel. And then a couple days later, an article came out saying Dwayne Johnson and his team leaked that information to the press, and that even the information leaked might not entirely be accurate to Black Adam turning a profit. Like, What? That blows my mind, the desperateness Dwayne Johnson and his team has, if they actually leaked it. I still don't know if they did. Because again, who goes online to tell the fans, my movie made money, so we gonna get a sequel? Bringing it to the other news today that was getting fans almost crazy, we had an article this morning published by Variety that was saying they have heard from their sources, which again, Variety is one of those professional journalist accounts that you should be able to trust for most of the time, that Robert Pattinson's The Batman is looking to be a movie that's gonna get folded in with the main DC universe. And like for the first hour while that article was out, DC fans were going crazy. They're like, oh no, you're gonna ruin Matt Reeves' vision. Or there's fans going, hey, that's not a bad idea. That would actually be cool. Have him meet Henry Cavill, mix him into this universe. I don't mind that. But then before things could get even more wild in the DC fandom, we had James Gunn just come out and clarify things, saying, there are a few reporters I love more than Adam Very. Truly a good guy, but in this case, he needs to get a new source, as this is entirely untrue. Honestly, this is one of the reasons I love that they hired James Gunn. The boy is not afraid to get online and set things straight, even when the professional journalists have their information wrong. This confirms it to me, y'all. Whatever James Gunn and Peter Safran have planned for the DC universe, it ain't involving the Batman. He's staying in his own world, and even Matt Reeves quote tweeted him with how happy he was with that news. They're not gonna force Robert Pattinson's Batman into a DC universe. All is to say, DC right now is a big mess, and you know, as much faith as I have with James Gunn and Peter Safran, it is looking messy. It is looking bloody. And I do think these are just some of the unfortunate risks of making all these changes, stopping all these movies, and trying to force some sort of real change in the DC universe. This is where I throw it off to you guys. You hear all this news with the DC universe, how messy stuff is getting, how professional journalisms are over here fighting with each other on which source is more correct, and then you have the main guy of the DC universe saying, you are all wrong. But that is all movie news we currently have going on right now, guys. I want to thank you so much for getting time out of your day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.